Euthanasia, assisted suicide, assisted dying, end-of-life choice. These are all names for the same thing, helping to end someone's life through a lethal dose of medication. We here, if people want to die, is compassionate to help end their lives. And of course, we want to be compassionate. But things are not always as they seem, and what might be called compassionate for one can be a dangerous thing for others. In this video, I want to examine how societal acceptance of assisted suicide or euthanasia sends two very dangerous messages. First, a message to sick and elderly people that maybe their lives aren't worth living, and what some will see as a right to die will for others become a duty to die. Second, a message to caregivers and family that assisted dying can relieve them of their duty to care. These are dangerous messages. You see, currently, society accepts that people who are sick, elderly, or disabled need to be cared for until their natural death. But if assisted dying were to gain societal acceptance, then staying alive to be cared for would for some become optional, not the default. So why is this so wrong? Firstly, it can become a duty to die because sick and elderly people can easily believe they have become a financial or emotional burden and feel they need to justify to themselves, to their doctors, to their family, why they're choosing to stay alive. In the US state of Oregon, where assisted suicide has become legal, 59%, more than half of those who received a lethal injection in 2019, gave as one of their reasons a concern about being a burden. See, the right to die too quickly becomes a duty to die, and therefore not truly a free choice. Secondly, people could be pressured to die if they're the victims of abuse and neglect by their family or caregiver. We don't like talking about elder abuse, but one of our speakers, Brendan Malone, recorded the following story from a nurse who works in a New Zealand hospital. Originally, she had no problem with the concept of euthanasia. Hey, your choice, your suffering. But all this changed when she experienced just how common family neglect was. She recounts, there was the family that stood in the corridor of a very busy ward and argued about why the individual who held power of attorney was wasting everyone's time by requesting medical staff keep the patient alive, and that they instead needed to refuse treatment and let nature take its course. Otherwise, on discharge, the patient would have to go into care, and they would eat into their inheritance. And what was this horrible disease that was stripping this individual of their dignity? It was a chest infection, which was responding well to intravenous antibiotics. She goes on, there's been countless family members who tell me that the patient is no longer their parent, their spouse, their sibling, that they're dead inside, and could I please just give them more morphine to hurry things up a bit. Then there's the recent media attention over the practice of granny dumping. This is where a family dumps their elderly relative at the emergency department so that they can take off on an overseas holiday, or because they can't be bothered checking in on them over, say, a long weekend. She recalls, I have found myself comforting many elderly patients who, through heaving sobs, recount their belief that they're a burden on their families, that they'd be better off dead, that they're cutting into their family's inheritance, or they are just of no more use to anyone. See, there's no legal safeguards or guidelines that can protect against these sorts of things. See, the right to personal autonomy has its limits. The claim that, see, it's my body, surely I have the right to choose when I die, is really short-sighted. The right to personal autonomy doesn't apply to drink driving because it's not only you who's put at risk if you drink and drive. Likewise, it also shouldn't apply to assisted dying because it's not only you who's put at risk when society approves it. Giving a small number of people the power to prematurely end their life endangers the safety of thousands more. The so-called right to die for a small group can easily become a duty to die for thousands more, sick, elderly, lonely, depressed, the most vulnerable in society. We have a duty to care for those the most in need of true compassion. If you enjoy our videos, please support us so we can make more just like it. Visit support.thinkingmatters.org.nz, and while you're there, check out our other resources and events. Ngā mihi nui.